So you know a bit about my art, what I draw, but no one knows a whole lot about me. They don't know much of anything outside of the artwork that I create on this channel. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you, the other side of me, the person that isn't, always just creating things. The person that is, me. Today I want to talk a bit about my childhood growing up, some of my experiences and the things that I've dealt with. And I wanted to share with everybody. Maybe you might have had the same experiences. Maybe you've had worse experiences. But I just wanted to put this out there for anybody that wants something that they can relate to. Something that, to know that there are other people that have had the same experiences, difficulties in life, have the same things, obstacles to overcome. And growing up for me, it was a really difficult life. I didn't have a lot of money. My parents were very poor. Most of my family was low income, and I had a very abusive childhood, and a lot of that abuse came from my father and my brother. And the constant abuse that I got from them, and part of what this topic is about, relates to forming friendships and meeting people and developing your social skills as you get older. And from all the abuse that I dealt with from my father and my brother, how they treated me, what they said to me, telling me that I'm never going to be anybody in life, telling me that I'm nothing, that I am useless and everything like that. Now, being told these things as a young child, it does get to a point to where you actually believe that they're true. You actually think that the things that they're telling you is how you are, that that's how life is going to be, that there is no other way, and the path has already been decided for you. And it was a struggle trying to make friends, elementary, middle, and high school. And it wasn't until I was much older that I developed my social skills to where I would actually want to go out to places, where I would actually want to meet people and to understand other people. Because for me, I didn't even understand myself. So how was I to go about my life to understand the people around me? Because I couldn't make that connection. I couldn't have that understanding to know what a lot of these emotions were. What it meant to even care about someone else. Such as, I would lose friends, and because I kept losing so many people and I lost so much and I was undergoing so much pain, that I eventually just shut everything out. I made myself numb to most things, and it got to the point where I would lose friends. And it just didn't bother me anymore. And as I was saying earlier, as far as developing social skills, it was hard to make friends because, at home I was constantly being abused, being told that I was nothing, being told that I was never going to be anybody. And I would go to school, and the teachers and the people would ask me why I had these marks on me. Why is there bruises on me? Why is it I don't say anything? Why is it I look like I haven't ate much? Why does it look like I'm not getting any sleep? Why does it look like you have depression or anxiety? You look like you're very angry and sad. And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't know how to express this. And my only way of expressing it was to keep it inside, keep it to myself, and I would spend my time outside of school and outside of the abuse I was dealing with. I would put all of that energy into doing, physical activities or drawing. And with the way things are now in society, for me as a young boy growing up, I was told by most people not to express what I'm thinking, not to tell people that you're sad, that you're depressed, that you have anger, anxiety, or any of these problems, because all they wanted to do was to put me on something to try to fix that. They didn't actually want to talk to me much about anything. They thought the quick fix to it was, one thing, and then that would do it all, and that's it. Or that the solution to the problem was, I don't talk to enough people. And they thought that by just throwing me out there with people that I couldn't even relate to, that couldn't even understand what I was dealing with, that couldn't understand the pain that I was going through, somehow they thought that would make things better. But it only made things worse, because I did not understand myself yet. I didn't even know whether or not I even wanted to go on with my life, because all I was dealing with was just pain. I mean, who would want to anyways? And that's why a lot of people are pushed to that point. They don't want to go on with things because of how it's going. They don't really see much of a point. And just constantly dealing with depression and social anxiety, just trying to be around people. And this made it for me to where relationships, I couldn't even develop relationships. I never dated or anything. I mean, I had my first relationship when I was 17, and the problem with it was that I had to keep a lot of who I was to myself, and I wasn't able to actually tell people the type of person that I am, what I want from life, what I want to be and what I want to do. And when I started just trying to be myself and to do the things that I want to do the things that makes me happy, and to not try to conform to the point of view that everybody else wants. Because what's the point of me doing things that everybody else wants me to do if they're things that I don't enjoy? They're not things that make me happy. They're not things that improve me at all. In fact, all it does is just beat me down and tear me apart and make me a worse person every day. And when it came to my relationships, when I tried to be, this person that people was attracted to, this person that they thought I was, they liked that side of me. But when I was just myself, when I really was who I was, no one had any interest in me. And we're always told to just be ourselves, and that, just by being yourself, you'll make friends, and you'll make friends along the way. And as I got older, I took that advice, and I found myself with these two options of either being partially a person that everybody wants me to be in a way, just so I can form relationships and friendships and social situations, or just be myself and be alone. And so I was faced with these two options, and I chose eventually to just start being myself, to do the things that make me happy, because I knew in the long run that by trying to be this person everybody else wanted me to be, that I was never going to be happy. And I knew I would grow resentful to the people in my life by trying to be somebody I'm not. And so I just continued doing the things that I enjoy in life, the things that make me happy. And as I continued doing that, there were less and less people in my life. And yet all the people around me were telling me to just be myself, that people will accept you for who you are, the people that truly care. And I just continue having less and less friends. I continue having, now I'm to the point, I haven't had a relationship for, it's been 7 years. I had someone I dated, but it was a bit complicated. That was a few years back. But as far as what I would consider a real, an actual relationship, I'd say it's been about 7 years. And people tell you to, just be yourself, and that things will work out, things will be fine. But it was at the time of my life when I was dealing with the most stress, when psychologically, I was not a happy person. I don't think I was a very nice person at that point in time, because I was dealing with so much, and I was trying to get over so many things that I would try to get into social environments for other people, and they didn't know what to think of me. They didn't know how to react to it. And so after a while, I just got very angry at the world. And one thing I find ironic is that when I was dealing with all that pain, all those psychological problems, when I was very mean and I was a bit aggressive, and it wasn't anyone in particular in my life, it was just all the things that I was dealing with. And it was that point in my life when I was a very angry person, very stressed. I don't feel like I was very good to be around. And yet that was when I formed the most relationships, met the most people. And I find that strange. And now that I've overcome a lot of those psychological problems that I've dealt with, I've improved who I am, I've become a bit of a nicer person now, and I have a different outlook in the world, a different outlook on life, and I treat people better. Oddly enough, I have no friends now. Well, I have one friend one person I can call a really close friend. And then most of everyone else I would consider acquaintances or on the verge of being a friend. But there's really only one person that I completely trust as a friend. And so now that I have improved who I am as a person, I don't have much of any friendships. And I've looked into philosophy, psychology, and everything like that. And one thing I've noticed, which I read up about, is how looks matter so much to people. And people always tell you that your personality matters so much, that all these other external things, how you treat someone and so on. And yet the point in my life when I feel like I was more physically attractive, I was more muscular, and that was pretty much it. I cared more about my looks back then. And now that I'm more focused on my mind, improving who I am, improving my personality, treating people better and being more respectful, no one seems to have any interest in me. And yet I'm told by everybody in society that how you treat somebody is the most important thing. And it goes to show that you should pay attention to people's actions more than their words, because people will say things, they'll tell you that this works, or this is how you should be in life, or this is what people want. But pay attention to people's actions, because that's what really shows you who they are. It really shows you what their motives are, what they want from life, and what they really value. Because they'll tell you anything that you want to hear. They'll tell you whatever they think is good in the moment that will keep you from knowing who they are, or keep you from having a different view of them. They want the world to think that they're this certain type of person, while they're completely different than that. And so relationships just never worked for me, and I always wanted different things in life than what most people wanted. I never wanted children. I never wanted to get married. One of the reasons being the way the laws are when it comes to marriage, and in a lot of situations with relationships, things that I've seen, and I don't want to get involved and deal with that whole mess. And people can tell me, or they can tell other people, well, it depends on the person you get with. Well, yeah, that's true, but the thing is, people can change drastically over time. I've changed completely over time. I used to be a very angry person. I don't think I used to be as respectful. I wasn't as nice. I just had this angry look on my face all the time. So if I was to meet someone back then who I was, 8 years ago, okay, and let's say I'm with them, they like me for who I am at that time. They respect me for who I am at that time. They like how I treat them at that point in my life. Now, I've changed drastically over 8 years. Now, if you get with somebody and you make that type of commitment, and then they change as much as I have over 8 years, that person is not going to see me the same. They're not going to want to go out and go to places, or they're not even going to want to talk to me, because that's not even who I am anymore. And so the problem is people change over time, but yet people get locked into these commitments for life. And another problem is people never want to work on the differences they have or the problems they have. They want to just completely dismiss somebody over small differences. And that's one problem I always had. I tried to work on things, but they didn't want to work on it. They just wanted to move on to someone else that had more of that similarity, because they didn't want to put the effort in to fix our differences or to work on it. They wanted me to change, but yet they themselves did not want to change anything. They just wanted to continue doing what they wanted to do, and I'm sure that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. Do what makes you happy in life. Be yourself. But at the same time, they would want me to change and make all these drastic changes to please them. And they talk about sacrifices and compromises in life, and yet I was always the only one making the majority of the sacrifices. And that's understandable with how different I am from a lot of people. But the problem comes is when I'm making most of the sacrifices, and I ask the person to make one compromise, and they make a big deal about it, and make me out as the bad person, and still continue expecting me to change. And that was always a struggle for me to be myself and try to be myself, but at the same time, there's these standards that people have, and you try to be the best that you want to be as a person, and not try to be this person that everyone else wants, or try to be happy based on their desires or the things that they want in life. And if you go that route, just trying to only please other people, and you don't worry or pay attention to what you want in life, you're going to end up with people in your life that may not care about you, or you may have people in your life that when they do find out who you are and they find out what you want from life, they're going to ask you, why are we friends, and why did you lie to me? And trying to make friends when you're so different than other people, or to make relationships work, it'd be a struggle to try to think about what you want, and then trying to make friends, or to be able to even socialize, after so much has happened to you, and when you grow up and nobody really teaches you that, and you don't have anybody there as much of a role model to help you get over things, to improve. And I would try to meet people, make new friends, and the first time they would see me, they would just make judgment, and they wouldn't have any interest in talking to me or wanting to be my friend. And from a young age, I felt like I was really held back as far as trying to make friends and socializing and everything. But I think that as long as you just try to be yourself, then it's not going to matter so much whether or not if you're friends with people, because if you can't be yourself, and you got to try to be somebody that you're not to make friends, then in the long run, that's just going to end up not working. That's going to end up just causing you pain. It's going to cause you loss of friendships, loss of relationships. And I decided to go down the path of just being myself. And it took a lot of time, it took a lot of years to figure that out. It took me losing a lot of friends, relationships not working, and even having some family members not even talk to me anymore. But I had to go through that. I had to figure out who I was, figure out what I wanted, because I grew up being told who I should be, what I should be, and the few people that were in my life that were trying to help me, there was only so much that they could do because of the circumstances. They didn't really have much of the ability to help me much. And I don't hold anything against them for not being able to help me. But it's just the way that a lot of things are in society. And I don't mean to blame other people or say that things are the way they are or things happen to me because of everybody else. But when you're that young, under the age of 12, there's not a whole lot that you're really in control of. I mean, you're pretty much at the mercy of the people around you, the society around you, the school system you're in. And the few friends that I did have growing up, they passed away or they moved, and I never heard from them ever again. And as I got older, I started to make more friends. But as I said earlier, what I found really strange is how the time that I was going through so much struggle, and it was more of a psychological thing that I was going through between the year of 2013 and 2016. Those 3 years. It started in 2012, but it really took effect in 2013 when I had my surgery. I really had no money. I was constantly in pain. It was just, I got overwhelmed with too many things at once, and I kind of reached that breaking point. And so then I found myself trying to find that happiness, trying to find what made me happy in other people, and it just wasn't there. They kept trying to make me somebody I'm not, trying to make me pursue these other paths in life that were not me. They weren't the things that I enjoyed. They weren't anything that made me happy. And I went from one person to the next. I'm like, maybe this person will treat me better. Maybe this person will accept me for who I am. Maybe they won't try and change me into this person I do not want to become. And they'll talk about these people in their life that they never got along with, or that treated them badly, and yet they kept trying to turn me into being that type of person. And it didn't really make much sense to me. Why would you try to make somebody that same person that you disliked so much, that person that you despised? Why would you even do that? And then it was kind of like the saying goes, where misery loves company. And things just did not work. After I had lost the goal that I was pursuing for most of my life, and all that was going on, trying to find happiness in other people did not work. And I tried to be more outgoing. I tried to go places, meet people, make friends, form relationships, but they quickly fell apart. And I found myself in a situation to where I was just lost in who I was. I didn't even know what I wanted anymore at that point, because the one thing that I was working towards my entire life, I lost. And I put a lot of effort into that. I put a lot of commitment, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hours, and what I was working towards, losing that, I didn't have anything to take my focus off of everything. I didn't have anything to keep my mind preoccupied. And that was mainly how I dealt with everything in life. I just would zone out, focus on one thing. That would keep me preoccupied, and then I would go about my day. So when I had other social interaction with people, or in a situation that was bothering me, I would just go home, zone out, forget about it, hold it in, and that's just what I turned into. Because growing up, I couldn't really express myself. I didn't have much of anybody to talk to, and the society around me was telling me not to express my feelings, not to be this person, because they seen any emotion that I showed as weakness. And any time I showed any emotion, they saw it as weakness and wanted to judge me, wanted to use me, wanted to try to hurt me, to beat me down and make me a less of a person. And through all that they put me through, it ended up making me a stronger person in the long run. But I went from being someone that had emotion, someone that had a strong connection to people, and then I turned into someone that felt no emotions. I didn't have the ability anymore to feel or experience love. And although I do question if I've ever even felt that to begin with, because what I think of love and what people think of love, what they say is love and what I say is love, don't even match up. For example, what I think of love and how I've been treated and the people I've been with, I know that wasn't love. Love is when you accept somebody for who they are. Now, you may have standards or preferences, but you don't completely disregard someone because of a small flaw. You work on what you have, you build on that together, and you work together as pretty much, I wouldn't say as one. You're two separate people, and to work on things together. And I see now, like I said before, people don't really want to work on things. They have a flaw or something they don't agree with, and they just go their separate ways. They think they can find someone that's absolutely perfect, somebody that's meets all the standards of what they are. You've got to be over 6 feet tall. You've got to make this amount of income. You've got to have this type of personality. You've got to be outgoing. You've got to have a certain hair color. You've got to have a certain color of eyes. You've got to be more tan. You've got to dress a certain way. You've got to wear a certain type of clothing. You've got to drive a certain type of car. You've got to have this. You've got to have a house and so on and all these other things. And there's so many standards, and yet you're told to just be yourself, and that's the most important thing. Yet I've found that's not even true. For most people, they care more about, in my experience, my relationships, they cared more about what I could do for them. They weren't seeking someone that they could share experiences with, that they could accept and love. They were looking for someone that could fill the emptiness that they had in themselves. And when I was doing that when I went out there and when I was trying to be with people and meet people, and I was trying to fill that emptiness that had me with the happiness that other people could give me, it didn't work out. And I'm finding a lot of times, and every time so far, that what they want in me, they themselves lack. They're looking for somebody with courage. They're looking for somebody that's outgoing, somebody with strength, someone that's hardworking, someone that's nice, somebody that's respectful, someone that will treat them properly, someone that won't hurt them, someone that will always be there through difficult times, and someone that will help them get through things in life, someone that will be there when they have no one else, someone that will be there to accept their flaws and understand that they're not perfect, and not to put in place these standards on them as if they have to be this type of person, yet I don't. And all those things they're looking for, and yet they say that that's what's the most important. But yet they lacked all of those qualities. They weren't respectful. They weren't very nice. And like I said, about the things that they were looking for was the qualities that they themselves lacked. And so they would be this person up front. They would pretend to be nice. They would pretend to be respectful, and that they haven't treated people this way. And after you get to know them for a short time, they start to reveal themselves. They start to show who they truly are. And it's like they're wearing this mask, and they take off the mask, and they're finally showing their true colors. And it's like they would try to be this person that they saw that I wanted. So, for example, if I was talking to them and I said, they would ask me, what type of person do you want in a relationship? And I would tell her, someone that isn't going to lie to me, someone that isn't only interested in me for validation or things such as money, or things such as just things that are very, what is the word? How do you put it? I have to think of the word. But the point I'm trying to make is they were more worried about the same things that they said that they don't care about. And then the things they asked me that I was interested in, or the type of person that I would like to have in my life, they would pretend to be that person. And then after a while, maybe a few weeks, a few months, or maybe a year, however long we were together, then they would resent me and be mad at me as if it was my fault that they tried being that type of person, but yet they were being fake and trying to be the person that I wanted in life, and the person that I wanted to be with in life. And so they acted as if it was my fault, and the whole time they're just hiding who they are. And then they would get really angry at me and tell me, call me names and everything. And so, they had this resentment for me, because they would tell me, I can't meet these standards, you're too picky. And yet, I never thought it was too picky to, all I would ask for is somebody that doesn't disrespect me, isn't rude, the basic things every human being wants from someone as a friend or a relationship. And if asking for basic things, such as someone that doesn't mistreat me, is too high of a standard, then I think that person needs to reevaluate their life. Because how can you, and why would you, although I actually do know the reason, but it's not something I'm allowed to discuss on here. So that's probably a topic I'll never be able to touch on unless some things change. But until then, back to what I was saying, they would show no interest in me when I was nice, but they would have a lot of interest in me when I was, like, say I was having a bad day, I was rude or something, or I didn't want to talk to them, or when I was going through a lot of problems. They would show a lot of interest in me. They would oh, you seem like such an interesting person. And then yet, when I fixed a lot of the problems that I was having in life and became someone that I was proud of, and I was going down a path in life that made me happy, suddenly there was no interest. Suddenly, out of nowhere, all the things that they said they cared about no longer mattered. How I treated them, the things I do for them, the compromises and sacrifices I do. Suddenly none of it mattered. And due to my injuries, I feel like my looks faded some, because I lost quite a bit of muscle, and I was highly focused on drawing. And I used drawing as a way to solve a huge amount of the problems I was going through, because it just helps me kind of just zone out, or I can draw and think about things and reevaluate my life. And so I got more focused on drawing and fixing my mind. I've always stayed healthy and made sure I've stayed in shape. I've never had any problems with, I never let my body go and all that. I care too much about my health to let that happen. But the point I'm trying to make is that the main change I had was physical. And then I improved a lot mentally, and yet they say that how you treat them and all that stuff is the most important. Yet the one thing they say that does not matter as much is the one thing that proved with the actions that was the most important. And I think when people, they see someone, it's natural to quickly judge someone just based on how they look, and to think that they have nothing else to offer, or that's all that they are. And I see people that they'll go about life being worried so much about what everybody else thinks. They'll spend all this money on nice shoes, nice car, and all these things that they're just wasting their money. And this isn't people that have a lot of money. This is people that are, they're low income or medium income, and they can't afford these things. They're spending way outside of what they can afford, but they're doing it for the intention of the people that they think that they want. And then the problem is, when they get with those type of people, that is all those people want. They might just want money, mostly. And so, because of that, then when that money's gone, or say you lose that job that's not as high of income, that person's going to be gone with it. And then what do you have left? You have nothing, because you haven't worked on yourself. All you've been working on is just stacking money. And money isn't everything, but money is important, because I know what it's like to not have money growing up, but it's not everything. There's a point where in life, experiences and the things you do with other people is more important. And all these external things, it gets to a point where that's just completely irrelevant. And, I know the word I was going to say earlier. Shallow. It's very shallow how they would tell me the type of person that they wanted, and yet to discard me because I was just being who I was. And yet, even though I was just being who I was the same person that they said that they were interested in. And so I'm told by people, there's someone out there for you. You'll find someone and so on. But the problem is, so many people are fake and they wear a mask and pretend to be somebody that they're not. And the amount of work that you have to put into it, the amount of effort you have to put in, the time and the sacrifice and the compromise, is it really worth it? Is it worth my time to go out there and do all that when I have other things that I could do, that I can work on myself? They can't just be taken from me so easily, because there's only so much time you have in life. And I don't want to waste it on people that have no interest in who I am as a person and only seek to be with me or to have a relationship or friendship with me because of personal gain, out of selfish intentions. And that's why I continue to focus on drawing. I continue focusing on doing the things that make me happy, the things that help me become a better person every day, the things that help me get over the things that I've dealt with in my life. And it's something that I feel I should keep pursuing because I have such a high passion for it. And I won't let anybody take that from me, because it's a part of who I am. It's a part of what I do. It's part of what makes me happy. And generally, what happens is when I do get in a relationship, or with a lot of friends even, they want to turn me into someone that I'm not, and to not, spend so much time drawing or following my passions and hobbies, because they themselves don't have a passion or hobby. They find their passion and their hobby in someone else, and they try to replace that with another person. That's not true love, and that's not caring about someone. That's selfish intentions, and that's not a path in life that I'm going to go down. And people that are like that, I generally avoid. But on a positive note, I'm happy with where I'm going in life. I'm happy with who I am so far, and I strive every day to be better and better, and to not compare myself so much to other people, but to be the best person that I can be.